My name's Eric Welander. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the OnViz Chameleon K1 LED light strip. Now, when I first read about the rumors of this light strip being in development, I emailed my contacts at OnViz, and so they sent me an early unit. At first, and through the initial launch of the product, the software was a little rough in my experience, and I definitely shared this with the OnViz team, and I will say that they've been great in just figuring out the problems with the reliability issues where I was having lights not respond, and they seem to have fixed, in my experience, all of those issues. And I'm now excited that I can talk about this light because it's really cool. So let's talk a little bit more about the hardware. Now, this type of a light strip is known as an addressable light strip because you have different regions of the light strip that you can address with specific color and whatever commands. And this OnViz light strip groups the LEDs in groups of 3. So every 3 lights is one group in the software. Now, these light strips feed into a control box, which is pretty much the generic control box in my experience with light strips, where you have like a center button to control modes and then brightness buttons. And there's also a microphone on the control box, which is used for the music modes of the light strip, so they can hear the ambient noise of whatever music and then try and synchronize a lighting mode with that. Now, the LED light strip itself is IP65 rated, which means it's splash and dust resistant. So you might even be able to put it in sort of some semi-outdoor areas, but you want to be sure the control box is nice and safe and dry because that is not IP65 rated. You can get this light strip in 2 and 5 meter lengths. Now, a lot of light strips offer what's called an extension where you can then add on length to the light strip. This one does not seem to offer it, as far as what I've seen, but a range of up to 5 meters is pretty good, so you'll probably be able to get the length you need. Now, one of the most common ways that I automate these lights is just through Apple HomeKit, and you can control that just like any other light strip where you set a solid color and a brightness level, and the light will respond to that just fine. Now, if you go inside the OnViz app, you have a ton more combinations of different lighting sequences and all kinds of details you can configure, and it would be like a 30-minute long video if I just went into all of those details. And so I just want to tell you my favorite light settings there, which one I think is their presets, and they have a preset for this animated rainbow, and I just think it looks really cool. It's by far my favorite preset, and I just love the fact that I can turn this on. And then any of these presets inside the OnViz app can be linked to a HomeKit scene. So if you want to trigger a particular scene, maybe talking to your HomePod or whatever, then when this OnViz light gets that command, it knows to activate this preset, even though HomeKit itself doesn't know anything about animated lighting. This is a similar way to how Nanoleaf and some other companies have gotten away with animated lighting that also works with HomeKit. There's also a painting feature inside of the app where you can control down to each segment what color it is, and they have a number of different presets there to start with. And then the other thing that I think is cool, although I haven't played with it a ton because I don't really have a lot of uses for it, is this whole twinkle page where you can control all kinds of different animations of different light directions and colors. And I think this will be really fun as more holidays come around. We're getting to that time of year as I'm filming this, so that should be a whole lot of fun if you're into decorating for holidays and animating your lights. Now, if you've installed light strips before, you've probably had to cut them down to whatever size you're trying to use. And of course, just like any other light strip, there are these metal spaces on the light strip where you can clip it safely and then still have access to everything between that cut and the control box. But of course, the animations still don't know that the light strip is any shorter. So inside of the OnViz app, there's a way that you can turn off individual segments of the light strip so that then the animations or whatever presets will scale down to the length of your light strip. Now, there is one catch here in that, at least currently, the app doesn't let you turn off more than 50% of the light strips. So if you cut the light strip by more than half, then you're not going to be able to have the animation scale all the way down to just the size of the light strip you're using, but everything else still pretty much works. The only difference is that maybe some of the colors on the very edge of the light strip won't be showing up on your actual light strip in real life. Now, Now, I did mention up front in the video that there are a few downsides to consider. And first, I will say their mobile app, they've been working really hard to add more options and a lot of configuration, but personally for me, well, it's been pretty reliable recently. It's not my favorite HomeKit app. I don't like the way the UI is set up. It seems complicated to me. Things like there's, instead of a done button at the top of views, there's this really weird looking check mark, and you have to tap that to save whatever settings you're working on. Otherwise, if you go back, it'll lose those settings. So there's no sort of guard against, not leaving a page and then forgetting your settings. So it's just little details like that as I was setting up and configuring these light strips that kind of got annoying. But that said, it's one of those things where you'll probably set it up, configure a few presets, link them to some HomeKit scenes, and then be done, and then mostly control it in other apps, like maybe the Apple Home app. One other downside is I think that these kind of lights can add just another level of complexity to your HomeKit setup, of that you have this extra dimension you have to control in this one app. But that said, you can, if you want to, just ignore this altogether and just use it like a normal light strip in HomeKit. So is it really added complexity? I don't know. Just something to consider. And the last big downside for me with this light strip is this would be a perfect accessory to use the Thread protocol and just work on your home's new Thread network, which I've talked a lot about in previous videos. Unfortunately, this still connects to your home network via Wi-Fi. And there is a very key reason why I have a lot more skin in the game of having this connected via Wi-Fi instead of Thread, where I way prefer it to be with Thread. And I will talk about that in an upcoming video. Until then, thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.